admire your confidence, Donnie. I wish I had the confidence and courage that you have. You're so brave. Those are comments I have heard about myself quite a lot in my life. Today, looking back, it makes me chuckle. But back then, hearing those words really gave me such an anxiety that it would have me in an introverted cave that was near impossible to emerge from. Why? Because, honestly, I didn't know anyone more insecure than I was. I second guessed myself, my opinions, my decisions, my thoughts, every little thing about me all of the time. That I even opened my mouth or put myself out there ever was nothing short of a miracle. But here I am, decades into the making of what you see standing before you right now. I'm shivering in my boots for sure, but I'm not anxious enough to go lock myself in the bathroom back there or suffer a mysterious sudden asthma attack so I don't have to see this thing through. I'm a scaredy cat. I am. Fear is my constant companion. Fear is our primitive physiological and emotional response to the threat of danger. Fear can be a good thing. For instance, I am afraid of bugs, aliens, and things that go bump in the night. So when I encounter these things, not the aliens yet, but the bugs, I get someone to kill them for me, fearfully, or the bumps in the night, I sit up all night thinking of wonderful escape plans. So it's a good way to handle those kind of dangers. But my fear of everything else, interpersonal interactions, being misunderstood, taking chances, or being a fully realized person, triggers the freeze response in me. It's a lot sometimes. I become emotionally paralyzed with fear. I become scared stiff. When I was a teenager, I was terrified to ask my parents for the big things I really wanted. There'd be a party I'd want to go to, and I'd be in my room rehearsing and practicing to try to get the best result for myself. The drama in my body was epic. I would be so afraid that I would die, literally die of embarrassment. I'd finally, sometimes later, go down to the kitchen where my mother was. I'd pretend to be reading a book, or I'd make up dumb conversation about nothing at all. My mouth would not ask for the thing I wanted. I'd be near tears because I just couldn't do it. I couldn't form the words. So I'd get frustrated with myself. I'd leave the room. I'd tell my friend I couldn't go, but I didn't ask. I was just afraid to have a voice, to have wants. This has been a repeated occurrence throughout my whole life, and it still shows up today when I need to ask the big asks of anyone. So there's tons of research on fight or flight, of the fight or flight response. And now, new research is emerging on the freeze response, which usually happens in mammals milliseconds before accessing the present level of danger. According to a Psychology Today article published in 2014, neuroscientists discovered the roots of fear-evoked freezing. These new discoveries on the neurobiology of the fear responses are a first step toward better understanding the role that the cerebellum might be playing in the paralyzing power of anxiety, phobias, and fear in general. So we're not alone. But how do I manage to have a productive life and to live out my mission? And since you asked, it is to present theater and other expressions of art that heals what appears to be the broken pieces of ourselves, what appears to be the broken pieces of our personal development. How do I do that with all this fear? I'll share my 3 tips on how I fake it authentically while shivering in my symbolic and physical boots. Faking it until you make it. According to a 2013 study published by the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, is an idea that by shifting your thoughts to your goals you can project a more capable, confident person. It's like a smile. Putting on a smile is proven over and over again to change one's negative energy. I'm sure someone here is not having a good day. I'm sure someone's having an okay day. I'd like for you to humor me and look to each person on your left and right and give them a big old, your biggest, brightest smile. You too. You must admit that felt good, yes? Smiling, even a fake smile, can lift your spirits. A basic smile, not the fake smile we plaster on while being snarky inside. Just a smile for yourself or a random stranger can lift moods. And it's the same for faking a confident attitude. When I first wrote my first one-woman play, Tragic Sisters, with no experience and no training on how to write a one-woman play or any play, I used to talk to a dear friend about it all the time. Well, this friend was well-connected, and before you knew it, she had me entering as a presenter at the National Women's Studies Annual Conference in Oakland, California. I laughed it off because, like I said, my personal lack of confidence was epic. So I gave her all the reasons why I could not enter and why I was not good enough, and neither was my work. It's actually disheartening when I think about my very long list of inadequacies I thought about myself. But my friend persisted, and thankfully, because I valued her opinion more than I valued my own, I entered as an independent scholar, and I didn't even know that was a thing. And I got in. Now I couldn't back out and disappoint her. So what I did was I prepared by starting with the end result. That's performance day, and working my way backwards. A technique I learned that somewhat alleviates the overwhelm of fear-based inaction and procrastination. It worked, and the performance, it was okay. I realized I had a lot to learn about theater and writing for theater, but it was a start. It was a good start. So that's my first tip I offer on how to fake it authentically. When you cannot muster the belief or confidence in yourself, turn to a trusted source who sees the perfection in you, the brilliance in you, the best in you. Borrow their confidence in your abilities to propel yourself forward until the momentum of doing the thing creates the confidence you need. So there are people who avoid conflict at all costs. Conflict avoidance is a type of people-pleasing behavior that typically arises from a deep-rooted fear of upsetting others. I'm one of those people. I have fled conflict and heated disagreements afraid to share my truth in fear that it would make things worse. So running away was better. Hiding in the closet was better. Pretending to concede was better. I have let my intentions or my reasons be misunderstood, and I have flat out lied because I was afraid to tell my truth. What was I so afraid of? Not being liked, being left, being judged, being dead. Something in me really felt like my life would really somehow end if people were angry or disappointed in me. It was a gigantic fear that telling my truth would take something or someone away from me. That idea triggered so much unresolved self-worth issues in me that I was not willing to risk the implications. Of course, it's a real possibility that you can lose something or someone when telling your truth. Should it matter? Gosh, I'd like to say, I don't care what people think about me, or I don't care if I'm not going to have a relationship with someone because they didn't like my truth, but that's not true. I cared back then, I care now. What have I done about it? Tip number 2, I fake assertiveness. Assertiveness, says clinical psychologist and psychotherapist Lucia Gusaro, who's also an assertiveness trainer, says it's a stance that promotes non-passive and non-aggressive principles. It is a perspective that places everyone on the same level. She explains how practicing assertiveness can help get rid of irrational thoughts, unrealistic expectations, and toxic relationships. I pretend I'm not afraid and can usually say the thing that must be said now. I feel past what now I know were panic attacks, and I'm in the car, I'm in the bathroom, I'm staring at the phone. I say the thing and I don't die. The first time I took a chance and told my truth was a big deal. I went to a self-empowerment seminar. They strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you confront your demon or a person you have issue with during that weekend. I didn't do it that weekend. No way. During breaks, when you were supposed to be making that call, I was in my car crying. I couldn't do it. I couldn't make that call. I cried from the depths of my soul because I could not imagine confronting my demon. I wholeheartedly believed it would cost me everything I knew. So I avoided that confrontation for weeks until another dear friend cornered me and convinced me that I wouldn't die, that instead I could possibly be opening myself to a better, more self-expressed and honest life. But I cried and pleaded with her to back off. It's okay, I said. I'll eat this one. It didn't work. I had to make that call that day. This person answered. This person listened. And this person apologized for the massive hurt I experienced at his hand. I lost 300 emotional pounds that Sunday evening. I had finally spoken my truth and then began the long, never-ending journey of liberating the creative, loving, trusting girl in me that for safekeeping, I buried deep inside. I did not die that day. I was actually surprised that I survived. So that's tip number 2, to fake assertiveness. To fake the belief that your voice deserves to be heard. Open your mouth and just do your best. My best is an awkward, wordy mess sometimes, but I mostly do manage to get the message across. Shiver in your boots, if you must, but don't let that stop you. Through your chattering teeth, speak your truth. Jump out of your comfort zone. That's my final tip on faking it authentically, inspired by Helen Keller's quote, avoiding danger is not safer in the long run than outright exposure. The fearful are caught as often as the bold. To me, the long run is that inevitable final destination, death. Are you going to go quietly? You're going to be safe and secure? Or are you going to take a risk or two? Be bold, be audacious. This quote, it had me pondering on my fear of everything for months, right before I made a big decision to quit my life as I knew it. I was a cubicle girl at a nonprofit corporate office. I love doing good in the world, and I always picked jobs that help people. But soon, that just wasn't enough. I used to be working and I'd cry at my desk saying that my soul just knew I should be taking a different path. I wanted to travel. I wanted to touch different cultures. I wanted to be in the world. I wanted to create. I didn't feel that I could do it where I was. And I had my eye on Brazil. I just really needed to be there. So the real and imagined voices in my head said to be still, that it was too dangerous. It was too far. I'd be alone. What if this? What if that? What if I did actually die? But then I thought, I could actually die right where I am. And that would be so boring. If I must be voted off this show of life, I wanted it in the midst of adventure. I wanted to be learning and growing and creating. Avoiding danger is not safer in the long run than outright exposure. The fearful are caught as often as the bold. If so, then I want to be bold. I want to be caught running from tigers in Madagascar. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. So I did it. I sold and gave away almost every possession I had. I planned everything rather quickly and honestly rather sloppily just to go and get on that plane. I was terrified. I was so aware of the fear in me manifesting as hives, as asthma attacks, as migraines, as a dwindling bank account, as getting distracted by someone because they said they love me, so now I have to stay. But finally, my sheer terror did not stop me. But at the airport, on my way away from everything I had ever known, I cried those big, impossible tears. I cried so much, I thought that I wouldn't be allowed to board. I was so frightened of going someplace where I knew nobody. I knew very little of the language, barely knew where I was going to sleep. I did it though. I took me and my shivering flip-flops and got on that plane. And honestly, it changed my whole life. I'm so grateful. I wouldn't change a thing. Not even the busted appendix that did nearly kill me and had me hurrying back to the States for a life-saving surgery. No regrets. I have to tell you, I still miss so many opportunities because fear still wins. I still have a few big things I want to do. And I know that there will be a day when my shivering boots and I will move toward those things and experience the ultimate triumph over my fear. For yourself, if there are things left unsaid, possibly making you sick, please say it. Say yes, say no, say I'm sorry. Just say it. If there are things left undone, jumping out of an airplane, going to Bora Bora, getting married, getting a tattoo, go do those things. Please do them. Are you afraid? It's okay. Do it anyway. Today, take those shivering boots and step toward your biggest dreams. Through shattering teeth, speak your truth. Fake it for now, just as you are. Steady your shaking resolve and act as if you've got this, because I promise you do. Thank you.